So I had this black woman try to tell me all good men are gay, dead, or in prison. I'm just like, well, we all? What's going on, people? Now, it is Black History Month. So I
Yes,
figured this is the day people learn about some Black history, right?
you know.
It's me, King Me, with my boy DJ Bach. Bach, where you at?
Yeah, yeah. I'm in the building.
All right, say less, say less. So the way I kind of want to start this off is Black men, Black women. What do you think keeps us at the bottom? Is it we don't like each other? Is it uh, black men are all in prison, gay or dead, or already married, allegedly? Or is it that we had, let's say, systematic oppression? But I don't want to keep it there because I feel like the conversation will show where we were let down. So I figure we start at the beginning, 1896, Plessy
Mhm.
versus Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
So Homer Adolph Plessy, the man actually said he was 7/8 Caucasian and 1/8 black. He was trying to sit on the white side of a train, and it didn't happen. They arrested him. So he's trying to fight for his kid. He like, look, hold on. I'm more white than I am black anyway. Apparently not his skin tone, right?
Mm.
So he goes to court, and it takes them under under a month to figure out that separate but equal is equal. And that's the start of Jim Crow in the South, right? So Jim Crow is legal segregation under the Constitution, i.e., you no same buses, or if you do, it's separated by front and back, white and black. No same water fountains, restaurants, school, etc., etc. And then we have to go a whopping 60 years in the future, and we hit a place called Brown versus Board. Now, between that 6 years, you had your Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King's, Malcolm X's, and more, trying to civil rights movement, trying to help black people grow. So then we get to 1952. It's December 9th, and we're doing Brown versus Board of Education. A man wanted his daughter to go to a school, but it was a white school. So he went to the courts because he's trying to tell them that white schools are not maintained or held up like, or black schools are not maintained and held up like white schools are. And he doesn't want his daughter to go to a rundown school. He wants his daughter to go to a good school. And it takes them over a year and 7 months to recognize that separate but equal is not equal. So then this is when we get to the crux of our conversation. We have to fast forward 10 years. There's some Black Panthers, there's some Crips, there's some Bloods. We ain't gonna get in that today. But then we hit Nixon. I mean, honestly, I don't even care for the man's first name. And Nixon starts this war on drugs. So you're thinking to yourself, like,
Mm.
what's war on drugs, right? It is what it sounds like. Cocaine used to sell for $1.50, right?
Oh man, that little
So I'm trying to figure out what do you mean war on drugs? What's happening, right? So the crux of it is Nixon says we have a drug problem, and if we don't, look at the drug problem's going to look back at us, and I'm assuming that means we all going to die. But it's funny that he says we have a drug problem, but statistically, black men were arrested at almost an 80% higher rate than white men. All right, so let's just start in the beginning. So Nixon, 1971, he's like, man, public enemy number one is the drugs. And he proposes mandatory minimum jail sentences for crack, right? So when he proposes this, it's like, let's go to, I believe the act is called Special Action Office for Drug Abuse, right? So I'm thinking to myself, why is this happening? He's doing this war on drugs, and then after doing the war on drugs, he creates a DEA. I mean, the DEA itself, it shows you how much money the war on drugs got the government, because the DEA was only 1,400 agents with a $75 million budget, and nowadays it's 5,000 agents with a $3 billion budget. So there's obviously money being made in this drug system, but it ain't by us. And it's funny because I want to hear your thoughts on this aspect. How do we go from, let's say it was on the rise a little bit in 1960, that's what they say, for why the war on drugs happened. But we have another thing to throw in there in a second. But my question to you is, why do you think, just for the DEA, their budget has grown from 70, I don't even know how much that is off top, 75 million to 2.3 billion? Go ahead, Bob.
Man, I mean, this whole system is put together, to me, in my eyes, my opinion, of course. This whole system is put together to dominate, and these organizations and these people who are leading these initiatives, organizations, campaigns, programs, whatever they want to call it, or whatever they feel that a good name is for it, they are creating what they want to do. And when I say that, what I mean is of course they want to stay on top. Of course they want to be in control. Of course they want to hold all the power. So what better way would there be to doing that by creating a problem and then creating a solution for the problem? So when they talking about the war on drugs, I think initially that should have been directed at the companies and businesses and businessmen who were actually dealing with drugs. Those are the people who are bringing it in the country, who are sending it out the country, who are putting it in these neighborhoods. They have the access. Now, because of that, they infiltrated it into the Black communities, and it caused a lot of havoc. It caused a lot of money to circulate within the community as well, but at the same time, it was destroying it.
Yes.
And with that destruction, along with the opportunity for them to now imprison the men, because you got to understand the men are the ones who are going to take charge. You hear about some women, but mostly it's going to be men out there taking the charge, doing what they got to do to provide for their families. And there was opportunity for them to remove them out of the families. So
speaking on that, as we segue into this next point, John Elkerman, I don't even know if that's how you really pronounce the man's name. Honestly, I'm too upset to even. He tells a reporter, Dan Bayham, in an interview. And here's the part that I had to look up when Richard Nixon died. Yeah, I use his whole name. I had to look up when he died because I'm thinking to myself, if this man John really had a problem, why did you wait? What's going on? And guess what? Nixon died the same year he gave the interview. Now, I could not find the exact interview date because I'm like looking. Tell me. I'm trying to link this together. They don't want that. So, but just put into, he waits till he dies to tell the side of the story that he should have. Okay, let's just get into it. So he says that the war on drugs had two enemies, right? The anti-war left and the blacks. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be black, or to be against the war. But by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana, now any of my 90s, baby, anywhere from 90s, if you're born in that time frame, if you watch television, every time you saw a hippie, they were smoking tree. Am I lying?
That's what it was, man. That's what it was. Woodstock. Every time
Thank
they
you.
say hippie and weed, I think of Woodstock.
So, I mean, okay. And then you associate hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, then criminalize both heavily. We could disrupt their community. Oh my God. Disrupt our community? We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. So this man waits until the president dies to tell his side of the story. Now, Am I happy that he said something? At least, sure. I mean, you got to take what you can get. However, here's my question: how do you think? How could you actually? Let's put it like this: if you're in this position, and let's just say blacks did this to whites at one point, could you, if you felt bad initially, could you continue on for the next, let's say, 10 years, 20 years, and be content with holding on to all that guilt? Or would you try to stop it before it starts?
Well, see, what's amazing to me is that they have that interview, right? It's out.
Yeah.
They have all that information. It's out. Well, what changes have they made for it?
Mm.
So you saying 10 years, 20 years? I mean, how about forever? You know,
Facts.
even now, we still have people who are serving time for these same crimes.
Mm.
When now marijuana is a legal thing in a lot of places. And I'm pretty sure some of the people who are locked up in the places that they're in, marijuana could even be legally, recreationally wise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a lot of things that have changed, but it hasn't changed for the people who are affected the most. And if you think about it, how else would they continue to do what they do? You said that they wanted to disrupt their meetings and take away their leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Congress, we have Senate, those are their meetings. That's how I look at it. It's majority white, sprinkled with a little bit of brown and black.
Yep.
And other people, but it's majority white. Those are their meetings. Who's breaking those up when they're creating all of these laws and controlling and doing all of these things that a lot of times shouldn't and don't apply to people as human beings and running their own life. These laws and rules mainly and only should be applying to businesses that are conducting business in the United States corporation.
Now, and it's funny because you bring up, the fact that we had Congress and they really let us down. But one thing that I want to point out is that even between the terms, you have Nixon, and Nixon doesn't get elected twice. Nixon, I believe he's even what's what I'm looking for? They impeached, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Watergate.
there we go, Watergate. So he doesn't even make it through his full. You have Jimmy Carter. So there's a hiatus from the war on drugs because Jimmy he tried to decriminalize marijuana possession. He campaigned for it. That's how he became president. He decriminalized up to 1 ounce. And it throws me off because you go from decriminalizing it and allowing some people to use it to then the next term, Ronald Reagan in the 80s. And mind you, Reagan managed to he got 2 terms. I mean, he's not gone until 89. So Reagan comes in hot. He's just like Nixon. His wife has a slogan, just say no, the danger of drug use. And Reagan focuses all of his attention on severe penalties for drug-related crimes. And this leads to massive incarceration, but for what? Nonviolent crimes. Then we get to your point, right? Now, it's crazy because from 50,000 people, right, in 1980 to 400,000 people in 1997. And in 2014, nearly half of the 186,000 serving time in federal prison have been incarcerated on drug-related charges. So they're literally, I mean, now we're at the point, let's just take it to the present for now. Take it to the present for now. Now we're at the point where the white men are making money off of the same type of drugs that they were trying to just say no to.
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
Yeah, and to that point, when we talk about incarceration, what most people have to first understand is this land is built on paperwork. It's built on treaties. It's built on policy. It's built on agreements and contracts. That's how this land, United States of America, is built. And because of that, that's where people have gotten into contracts with building business. Incarceration and prison and all of those things are now big business.
Yeah.
It was the transfer of slavery. That's how I view it,
Mm.
because it went from you've been on a plantation working. There are very minimum jails. I mean, if you watch westerns, you know they were locking up bank robbers and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it became a thing where they would hunt these slaves that escaped, trying to find their freedom, trying to get
Mm.
away when they knew there was a place for them to go. And they were bringing them back to the plantations. And from there, it grew to mass incarceration for these people and punishment for trying to find their freedom. Now, being that that's big business, you take these businessmen who are now also going to get funded by the
Mm.
United States government to hold these prisoners. And now you have these government companies, FBI, CIA, DEA, all of these people are now creating these issues where they're going over to other countries, getting resources that in America, they're saying that these resources are illegal resources. And then they're having them being distributed into the communities that people are looking for a way out. So some are going through depression, some are very poor, and they're drinking, they're indulging in these things to help free and clear their mind and get away from. So these people already have a dependency on things that they want to have, and these are their escapes. And now you're punishing these same people, where majority of the people, like you said, that they're locking up are people who are using these products,
Not even selling.
you know. So with all of that, it's just big business. And that's what it was. Reagan, he was an actor. You got to understand
Mm.
that. He was an actor, so he can get up there and he can give these people entertainment.
Mm.
Entertainment. Now, if you think about the entertainment industry, one of the things that really stuck out to me with big movies and big productions was The Birth of a Nation, where they already in the beginning of this industry, they took the time to show a black man as a criminal or as a evildoer, and not only just a evildoer, but a evildoer to their women.
Mm.
So as a man, you want to protect your women.
Yeah.
So with that, and already the state that they were in, where they're in control, and it empowered all of these men to want to be this way, which I feel has a big part in playing on why a lot of them view us and look at us the way that they do. With TV also, you have this brainwashing thing where I don't know if you ever heard of like MK Ultra and things like that. These things, repetition, you know, you seeing these things every day, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to sink in, and it's going to be a part of your life. It's not going to be something that you view as entertainment, but that's when the entertainment starts to become a reality for you.
It blurs the lines, and that's it. Even so, we can even change the topic slightly for just a second. All right, let's go into that, because I can respect any, especially black men, black women. I can respect how you make money to an extent, and I've always had a problem with the idea of all black men or even black women. I don't, they're portrayed differently, but all black men, we're either gangbangers, athletes, or entertainers. And that took offense to me as a child. And when I'm watching it on TV, I personally didn't like it. I personally didn't want to be those things, but I felt like I was in a box, because then you got, in my age and my time growing up, early 2000s, let's say 2008, Even chicks I'm trying to date are like, I need a guy with a little thug in him, and they don't even know what that means. We're like 13, 14. And then it continues. It continues from that point to even as I age to 20. Women still saying I need a man with a little thug in him. And mind you, it's not any man, it's a black man. It's if the white man that they date or even marry, swirlers, right? They don't have the same standards or stipulations. So I guess what I'm saying is, when it comes down to it, what you see is what kind of what it becomes. That's why when the war on drugs happened and women saying all good men are married, dead, gay, or in prison, at one point that statistic was probably correct. However, that statistic has changed because the war on drug era changed. We weren't being criminalized for, not even selling, just buying. But last night, perfect, I was watching Blackish. You ever seen that show, Anderson?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there's the scene I'm watching. I don't even know what's going on. I got into it halfway, but it's a couple, a black couple, obviously, and they're arguing, throwing what they call nukes at each other because of what their arguments were. I didn't care about that, but they're arguing and making a scene in a white restaurant, and you have all these white people looking at them. And this part of the joke, I get the comedy, but it's like, why are we portrayed like this in TV by our own people? I'm on BET. I'm not on I'm watching BET, Black Entertainment. But if black people see us the same way that white people see us, and how are we mad? Where's the disconnect? So my question to you is, I already kind of answered so do you think TV by itself, especially if it's raising kids, will make them think that their life only revolves around, as a black man, drugs, entertainment, or being an athlete?
I mean, to me, that's where we see everybody thrive. You know what I mean? Like, if you see, a black man, for instance, Power. Mm-hmm. You see a black man go from hustling, making big moves in the streets, and then you see him transfer that power from doing that into a business, a profitable business model, nightclub, entertainment type thing. You see that there is a way for you to do something and get out and be positive. So that role right there gets people like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I can do it. I mean, you got people like Jay-Z, you got other hustlers too, though, but people who, came from, the grind, and making it into somewhere. You got people like 50 Cent. You got all these men who took a bad situation and then flipped it into something good. So when they showing that stuff on TV, I'm not mad at them, only because it's showing all these black boys and black men that, look, your beginnings might be rough, but you can always make it to the potential that you want to make it to and still be a positive role model in your community. But with TV, you got to understand, when TV first came out, most black people didn't have a TV. So the entertainment of TV was directed to white people. So being that it was directed to white people, they're going to give them the images that they want and the images that they already feel. You got to understand, those are the people who making it. Those are the people who watching it. So when we got into that life, when they wanted to use our talents, then that's when they started to let us do a little bit more to show our positive influence, but still giving that negative influence. Also with the sports and everything, you got to understand, we are built like that. You know what I mean? It's not that we're taking what we have that's already good and we're using it to feed our families. You see what I'm saying? A lot of families, plantation families, all working every day. We strong as a motherfucker. We strong as shit. We strong. We can last long. We got abundance of energy. Like, don't get me wrong. There was some that were weak, but we were built like that.
Majority.
So, yeah. So So it's either, hey, listen, you gonna push the rock or you gonna push the rock. Like which one
Hey.
you gonna do?
All right.
You got to figure it out. But even though that is what's portrayed on TV, there's a lot of other black people that do a lot of different things, but they don't show you that because this is what they want you for. This is what they need you for.
That's man. Okay. Now I agree with that because okay. All right, boys and girls, let's segue back into the war on drugs. I got a little bit crazy for a second, man. So we'll go back to Reagan. 1986, Congress passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, established mandatory minimum prison sentencing for certain drug offenses. Now, certain drug offenses basically mean what? Black people. I mean, could you believe this? That 5 grams of crack possession triggered a 5-year prison sentence minimum. 5 years. But for cocaine, what they would call the white man's drug, and to speak on that real quick, it's funny because as a young boy growing up, I would actually say this before I had any knowledge. I'd be like, hold on, I'm not smoking crack. Crack is the poor. I'm not poor black. I'm rich black. I would do cocaine. And I didn't even know that was the actual thing. You know what I'm saying?
Alrighty.
But 500 grams of powdered cocaine is how much it took for a 5-year sentence for a white man. Now listen to the discrepancy. 500 versus 5. Yeah. 495 plus grams it took. So what do you do with that? How are you going to? And one thing that I feel like I don't know if I picked up on, but in the article I read actually, because I wrote it down verbatim, for the black person it said triggered. You know what I'm saying? 5 years, and for the white person it was like it used a different word. I can't even find it now. Jesus Christ! But point was that the wording for the black person was almost like like they wanted your attention. They use an emotional baiting word, but then for the white person, they're like, man, statistically they just didn't get arrested. But either way, moving on from that, then the fact that Congress passed this bill, right? And I just don't get it. I guess my problem is who's in on this? How deep does the connection have to go for Congress to pass bills, or is it just because they're all Republican, or is it just because they're all Democrat?
I mean, not even so much all Republican, man. They're all white. We don't really have representation. You know what I mean? So being that we don't have no representation, we don't have a Maxine Waters sitting in there talking about, hey, hold on, wait, this is going to affect my community. You know what I'm saying? More than it's going to affect your community. Like, why is the odds set so far apart? But they make money, and this is never going to change. This is what I want people to understand. What they make money off of is they make money off bodies. They make money off bodies. They need bodies. That's how they make their money, whether if it's, people applying for welfare or unemployment, or this all creates contracts and it creates money generation for the government. The government gets funded through having people locked up in their chains, in their system, wrapped up in their paperwork. And that is because this is a business. That's what everybody got to understand. This is a pure business model on contracts and creating credit and debt. So they are doing this literally because you're not going to have no white officer patrolling their own neighborhood, locking up John's son. And you know where those officers are going? They're going across town in the red tape areas. They already knew where they were because they had red tape areas where black people couldn't buy homes. So we're going to go across into the red tape area and we're going to just patrol around there. We see somebody walking down the street. We're going to ask them what they doing.
Damn.
And then depending on how you dealing with them, and then they created all these different terms and laws and things that one thing might mean something to you, but it means something totally different to them. And now you're getting caught up in their bullshit. And it's no, at this point in time, it's no real knowledge on how to really break out of that. You know what I mean? And get away from that stuff. But now with today, we have a lot more things available to us as a community. And, that's what this podcast is really all about, man. The Black Community Podcast, man. We're here to uplift and, give some background knowledge and, help plan and put things in place for the future for the Black men and women, and to position ourselves back in those roles as leaders and give this information to the youth and the children coming up behind us. So
the only way you want to end in a certain position is to understand where you started from. So, I mean, let's just take it back to the fact that you said they knew where Black people were. A guy named Neil Franklin, a retired police major for Maryland Executives, right? He called minorities, Black people, low-hanging fruit because of their open air market, unlike their white counterparts. Now, I took that part and I critically thought through it. So to me, it said, hey, because we can see Black people doing something and white people are a little more conspicuous or inconspicuous, let's not even take the time and effort to catch the white people who are selling. Let's just worry about the people that we know are going to sell and buy out in the open. And I can understand. I mean, hey, if you're going to be that lazy to an extent as a Black person, let's do better. Okay. I don't want you selling drugs, but you got to do what you got to do. However, when you get to calling us low hanging fruit and you realize that they would literally go out during the evenings and afternoons to sweep for about 20 or 30 Black men, right? And doing that would give them the numbers they need for their grant to get more funding to arrest more Black men. Like,
yeah,
it's all about the money. You're right. So you take all that information, and the guy's also saying things like seizing a lot of money and property. Well, where did that money and property go? Go ahead.
Yeah, it definitely goes straight to those families. I mean, a lot of those police officers, you got to understand, felt like Black people didn't deserve to have that anyway. I mean, you got hustlers, they working, they doing their thing, making things happen. That police officer come, catch them up a little bit. Guess what? They slide that money right in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? That'll never make it to evidence. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all based on their word. You gotta, their word is more powerful than your word defending yourself. And that's just pretty much the facts of it. But low hanging fruit, I mean, that's definitely bad. You know what I mean? Like, that's like you just, you going out, you saying this is the easy route. Why is this the easiest to get? Why is Black people or brown people, or a different race of people easier target? I mean, specifically Black, but why is that? And the reason why is because it's not that it's low hanging fruit. It's because it's the target.
Yep.
It's not low hanging fruit. It's the target. So being that it's the target, that's what they going out there for. That's why they, had quotas and things like that. Because, hey, listen, if you're not going to go get these people, then you're not doing your job. And that's where I see stuff even now today on the joint where, two kids sitting in the car doing their homework, but police pull up on them, ask them what they doing, all because they sitting in a car doing their homework. You know what I'm saying? Like, mom come out the joint, like, hey, hold on, wait, why you talking to my kids? Like, they not doing nothing. They sitting in the car doing but they are going to continue and constantly do that until it becomes a punishment for them. It has to be a punishment for them. They're going to keep killing us. They're going to keep doing these things that they do to us because this is the way the laws were set. But until those laws are changed and it becomes a punishment, that's when those things will change for all of those officers, those policemen, those council members, those people who are enforcing these things, those lawyers, those judges. That's when it's going to become a difference. That's when things are going to change.
So it takes hitting them in their pocket, right? So let's switch the conversation for a second. You remember the whole abolish police officers, or whatever, abolish the police department, or
Yeah,
the
defund.
defund. There we go.
Yeah,
That you know, I'm thinking to myself, well, why do they need this much money? What happened to community policing? What happened to having individuals that look like individuals working with the same individuals in the community? Just what happened to all this? But I guess what I'm trying to get at is you have people who, let's say, Black Lives Matter, we're fighting for things, and the crazy part is I feel like it goes nowhere because it's all based around money. And listening to you, it's all capitalistic. It's all about how much money they can make off of a person being alive or being dead.
yeah,
I mean, we could even shift it slightly to coronavirus and say that the numbers are skewed because they need people to die from COVID to get more money.
yeah.
So when you start paying attention to things like that, it puts you in almost a box because you're trying to figure out why these things are happening, and everything has a cause and effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to come back to it, let's talk about how support for war on drugs didn't even really stop until 2009 to 2014. And when I read that, I was like, damn, it was still going on to an extent. Even that, I was alive.
Yeah,
I
defund.
mean,
Yeah,
I was alive. So how could we not? How could we not take the whole defund police and literally, because that's where we'll hurt them. Once you take someone's money, now they're like, oh, wait, I gotta. You're actually gonna, and that's where the punishment. But that's I don't. How is that? How does that happen? How do you see that happening? How do you see that as a possibility at any point in time?
I mean, it's going to be really hard, because it's a lot of these people who's still in office. I mean, we got to get more representation. I mean, that's one of the key. We can't beat them at their own game unless we learn their game. We can't just create a new game and then try to just do it our way. But somebody who, my father introduced me to a long time ago, and I got to see, on TV and see him on social media and stuff like that. He is the best person at what we need to do on the whole defunding aspect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't even know where their money going when they donating and doing different things like that. But it all starts literally with redirecting your dollars. You have to redirect your dollars because this money, you got to understand, man, when this corona shit happened, dog, trillions of dollars got spent around the world, dog.
Damn.
I mean, from the masks that they're making, the vaccines, the all of these things, morgues, funeral home. I mean, like all of these things are making money, and you already know that the Black community doesn't have a high stake in business. So all of this trillions and dollars and all of this stuff, where you think it's going?
Back to this.
It's going back to the same place where it just came from. So the first thing is definitely redirecting the money. You know what I'm saying? Shop with your brother. Your brother got clothes, or your brother do cars or whatever. Like, you gotta shop with those people. You gotta put that money back into the community, but your community. That's number one. Once that part happens, and I'm gonna just say his name. Louis Farrakhan. He was the one who said that. You know what I'm saying? That's how you hurt him. You hurt him with the money. That's how you hurt him. So
wait, hold on 1 second, boss. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Louis Farrakhan. Why is that name like you can't say it? What? Can you give me some background?
I mean, Louis Farrakhan, man, he's a staple in the Black community. I mean, he, was under the teaching of Elijah Muhammad. They're 5%ers, Muslims. So, they go over a lot of, community stuff. But with him specifically, his teachings, his lectures, his advice, his wisdom, he's a leader. And if I mean, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Garvey, my man from India, Gandhi, like I mean, just so many, you know what I mean? Any they take them out, man. They take them out, because they don't want that our community to build up. They don't. You know what I mean? And as long as they can keep us hooked on their products, hooked on their stuff, and I mean, it's a dependency on it. Like some people can't use no other soap than Dove because that's what they've been using all their life, and
their whole life.
Right. You know what I'm saying? They not going to the African market or the African American market or the black market and getting, soap from, the dude whose mom is making the shit in the back of the house. You know what I'm saying? They don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even from washing your clothes, Tide, and you know what I'm saying? They not going to go get no natural products and stuff like that. So they got us on a bait. You know what I'm saying? They got us hooked in, and that's what we got to break. We got to break those things. We got to get out of those things. I mean, I love that today in 2021, though, you got, like black media, you got, all these different avenues. Like you got all these different channels on YouTube that can show black families in a positive light. Like, like it's so much more now than that same rhetoric of basketball player, drug dealer, or, you know what I'm saying? Like it's more to offer out here now. So that right there is like just amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna be hard for him to even. They block him on Twitter, they block him on Facebook because he's giving that positive information to the black community, and he's giving us good ways to go about it. Now it's not only him, there's other people out here too, but he's one of the people at that high statute that allows for people to really listen and follow what he's talking about. But again, like I said, it's hard for people to get off what they hooked on, you know what I mean? And that's just pretty much what it is. But yeah, he's a great dude. He talks that power, man. He talks with power, man. Great guy.
I gotta speak on black businesses. All right, so I've done this myself. I'm a poor. I don't know if it's because we're uneducated to an extent. Not all of us, but some. But they didn't teach us the business that they taught other white men, especially in the era of what we're talking about, right? Uh-huh. Nowadays, you have more of an option, more resources. But if you don't have money, or if you're in severe poverty, the odds of you doing it is lower without a lot of hard work. I understand. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to running a business, like I said, I've been a part of it. We have to do better. There's a stigma on black businesses because of how some black people move in their businesses. Some black people treat businesses almost like they're selling drugs, even though they're not. And you don't have to be shady. You have to. I mean, did you hear about Kanye not paying his church people? A lady said that it took her over like 3 weeks to 2 months to give a $500 check.
Yeah, but see, when it comes to like Kanye, you know what I'm saying? I'll say this. He don't do it. So I mean, you want to say Kanye didn't pay me. He got money sitting in the bank. Whoever was in his team might have missed some or whatever may happen, but not directly Kanye. That's how I feel personally.
Cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I can respect that. That's cool, but it comes down to me for this. Like, let's do this. There's a battle rap, URL, Ultimate Rap League. There was a guy they didn't pay that they told him that he was going to get paid upwards of $1,500 to $2,000. And they, you know what I'm saying? They told people whoever won another contest, they were going to get a blue check mark, which if you know on any type of popular Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, if you get verified, you can make money from it because then you can start getting people to, oh, you're verified. Let me look at you, right? Mm-hmm. There are text messages that the guy named Certified Shooter, he was supposed to get paid. And he has text messages basically saying, chalk it up to an LB. I'm sorry, basically. What we thought, they're telling the guys, the URL that's supposed to pay them is selling certified. He's like, well, we thought that the place that we streamed through was going to give it to y'all. And then he's like, nah. And he sent him that text talking to the other company that they're connected to. And he's like, nah, y'all supposed to pay him. So why are y'all playing with this man's money? But to me, it's just black people have it's either a black person thing or it's just a black thought thing. But we haven't put that together. Like, you cannot do poor business and expect people to come back to you. And a lot of people think that, oh, well, I'm still getting customers, so obviously my business isn't that poor. But the people that don't come back matter too. So just to throw that out there. But let's get back on topic.
That's fact. That's definitely facts. I mean, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty fucked up, you know, if cousin get paid, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't even gonna swell. There's been times out here I done, you know, did some things, man, and you know, I haven't gotten paid, you know what I'm saying? But you know, all of it's just an experience for me to learn and to learn how to do business better for myself. But I think, you know, one of the things is that people coming up trying to do business, trying to do different things, and a lot of times people do a lot of stuff by themselves. They all by themselves. So, you know, they have to be every hat in the company. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is that everybody don't have all those skills. So, you know, for me, what I would say is that, you know, you black business, you know, it's certain things that you need. It's certain things that you have to have, and you should seek those things out. You know what I'm saying? And find somebody who can actually cover that portion of that part of the business for you. And you could do that within your black community too. Like, you know, I have a girl who, you know, she doesn't work directly for me, but she's been getting me, you know, interviews for artists on the radio station because she's a PR and marketing person. So she's been doing her thing. I still do me, but she's doing her thing too. And she's sending people my way to get on the show to do. But that's where community come in, you know what I'm saying? Where people are utilizing the tools that they have. You know, you might have somebody who's good at graphic design, somebody who's good at this. And if it's not set up in the beginning to where it's a, you know, actual, all right, this is what it costs for you to do this for me, I'm paying you. If you're not there yet, you can also, you know, try to see if that person willing to work with you, man, and set up different things. But yeah, I mean, you're right. You know, I mean, I ordered a shirt from, you know, a black business, you know, for, you know, event I was having. You know, by the time the shirt came, the event was over. But, you know, that's just trying to support each other. But at the same time, each business is just knowing that, hey, look, if I want to be on time and good with this, there's things that I need. Now, for me, I think it was very important for me to go through business courses and business classes to learn all the aspects of what I need for running my business compared to what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So I will recommend people do that as well. Like, go find out what it is that you're doing and what positions and parts and pieces that go to that puzzle that you can do, that you can't do, and go seek those people out within your community, so that way, you know what I'm saying, you can function efficiently. You know what I mean? So yeah, it is. And that's with dealing with, you know, a lot of the smaller businesses. Now, when it comes to the bigger businesses, you know, they on point. You know, they have everything lined up like, you know, how it's supposed to be as far as I know. But, you know, dealing with the smaller business and building community, you know what I mean? I think that it just comes with trial and error, learning, making things and putting things in the right place. But yeah, I mean, URL, but then also, dog, you got to understand, man, and this is always, motherfuckers will put out stuff online that's negative before they put out something online that's positive. So URL, URL been up and running for I don't know how many years now. Out of all those people that did get paid, we got this one incident where somebody didn't get paid, and like, yeah, exactly.
I will say this just because I do have a little more information. There's a guy named Goods, and he's a black-owned business, but he's a battle rapper, and he was like, they got shady stuff sometimes. They never play with his money, but I agree, though. You hear way more about the bad than you ever will about the good. So let's dive back deep into this and say Nixon started it. 4 years after him, they did a survey, and seniors reported using illicit drugs 30.7% of them, right? In 1992, this is after Reagan, he just got out, the rate was at 14.4%. And the killer is that now that it seems to be affecting a different race more, let's say white people. Now there's affected
It's
different
crazy.
race more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, nah, I was leading where you was going, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, go ahead, finish it, bro. You got it. You already know where I'm at.
It's insane, dog. Now this is all about money again. You got to understand. So now you got these people who was always locked up, always put in bad situations with their family and their community, and they were getting punished for having drug addictions. Right
Yeah.
now, you got these same issues on the other side. People, white people on all these pills and all this, and now it's an addiction. It's an issue, like a health crisis for them.
Yeah.
Now, now for them, they're getting the funding directly to them for treatments. It's coming in their insurance program where they can go and get, free methadone from the clinic rather than
Yep.
going to go buy heroin. And, they're giving them all of these different things now that it's affecting their community. But where was that same love for, the black community when they was going through all these addictions and mothers, out tricking in the street for crack and, getting locked up, prostitution, fathers out there hustling, people getting shot and killed. And like, where was the same love? It was criminalized for us, but for the other side, it's like they need help.
Yep.
Why couldn't it be looked at the same way at that time?
Because they didn't mess with us. And here's the key part in that John Eckerman quote: disrupt the community. Black people, listen. The easiest way to make sure we never grow is to make sure our men and women have turmoil between each other. Don't like it. I mean, honestly, it comes down to some black women don't even respect black men. Same with black men and black women, because we're just so disconnected from each other. Because women had to be in a fatherly role and then try to be in a feminine role, and you can't do both. So the only way to make sure that we actually grow as a community is to be with black people.
Facts.
And if we're not going to be with black people, i.e. black men, black women, black women, black men, if we don't create a space where it's just black, the same way the Jews did. I mean, if we do not create these spaces, we will never grow. If we don't have family structures, we will never grow. And this is going to come off as disrespectful, but black women, I understand for a while you had to be the backbone. I get it. But what has that gotten us? Where are we at now? Men lead, okay? And I respect all the single mothers. Hell, I had one. But I also know where you lack. Black men can lack. I get it. We are accountable. We have to know what we're doing. We have to be in better. But black women, we need the same thing of you. And on top of that, we need your love and support, okay? The argumentative combativeness and just straight up being disagreeable is torture for a man. And you got to move different as black women, and we have to move different as black men. But the black men who are trying to be a better role model and better people in their community, you're also talking to with crazy lips. And that's not right. If you see a good black man, treat him like a good black man. But if you see another black man you don't know, that doesn't mean you treat him like a bad black man. That means you give him just a fair amount of respect, because guess what? We need each other. Go ahead.
Absolutely, man. We definitely do, man. So I just want to say, man, this is a Black Community Podcast. That's BLKCP.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to let y'all know, man, that, community, that word right there, man, it's a social unit. It's a group. It's a living thing. Community, a social unit. So that means we got to get together, man. We got to talk about it. We got to work out our differences. We got to give our input on things that we feel might work better and do better, as a group. You know what I mean? And these communities, we have to put in our honest intent and our belief and our resources and our preferences and our needs, and we have to take risks to uplift and improve our community, man. So we definitely thank everybody who tuned in today. This is a Tuesday broadcast from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. We'll be back next Tuesday. So just, keep up with us, man. Check in with us, man. If y'all got things we want to talk about or y'all interested in knowing more about, we definitely do our research and, try to get that information out there to you. But this is all about uplifting the Black community, man. BLKCP, that's Black Community Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in.
And we out.